All right, good evening, and I want to welcome you to Meet the Candidates Forum for candidates running in Districts 1, 2, and 5 of the Anoka-Hennepin School District. We thank you all for coming this evening. This forum is sponsored by the Anoka, Blaine, and Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters. I am Arlene Gillette, a member of the League, and I live in East Bethel. The League of Women Voters is a 95-year-old, nonpartisan volunteer organization that works to strengthen our communities by promoting voter registration and by conducting candidate forums such as this one this evening. We encourage the informed and active participation of all citizens in all levels of government, and we seek to influence public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. Rather, it provides voter education opportunities, such as this evening, to bring candidates and their views to you, the voter. The views expressed here are those of the candidates and not of the League. If you're interested in finding out more about the League, please check out the League of Women Voters Minnesota website, which is lwmn.org. And the League is open to membership by both men and women. All right, for tonight, what we're going to do, the Anoka-Hennepin School District is divided into 6 election districts. School board members are elected for 4-year terms, half each in odd-numbered years. This year, Districts 1, 2, and 5 are up for election, and all the candidates on the ballot for these 3 districts were invited to the forum. In District 1, which encompasses the city of Anoka and parts of Ramsey, Coon Rapids, and Andover, incumbent Tom Heidemann of Anoka is running unopposed. In District 2, which covers Blaine and a portion of Coon Rapids, incumbent Marcy Anderson of Blaine is running unopposed. In District 5, which covers Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, and a portion of Coon Rapids, Nicole Hayes is the incumbent. She lives in Brooklyn Park, and Scott Simmons, also of Brooklyn Park, has filed for candidacy. All right, so in each set, we will start with the candidates responding to 3 questions that were sent to them ahead of time. They will each have 1-minute answers to each question. We will then move to written questions submitted by the live audience, with each candidate having 1 minute to answer. We will attempt to cover as many areas of interest expressed by the audience as possible. All right, now and then each set will end with a 1-minute closing statement by each candidate. We'll begin the forum with candidates for District 5. The 2 candidates are Nicole Hayes, the incumbent, and Scott Simmons. We will start with the 3 questions that were given ahead of time, and candidates drew numbers to determine the order of response, and subsequent questions will rotate. So by drawing number, we will start with Nicole Hayes. All right, Nicole, question 1. What are your reasons for running for Anoka-Hennepin School Board, and what are your qualifications for the job?
Thank you. My reason for running is the same as when I applied to be appointed to the school board in February, and that is simply, I care about kids. It's a simple answer, but it's also complex because no 2 kids are alike, and in Anoka-Hennepin, we're educating 38,000 of them. It's not just the kids, though. It's also the parents and their families. The basic role of a school board is to set policy and hire a superintendent, but for me, it's much more. I believe strongly in representing my community, and as a commitment of that means taking the phone calls and being available to community members. And that might be a 20-minute phone call with a parent or an hour and 20-minute phone call with a community member. For my experience, we've lived in Brooklyn Park for 18 years. I'm a K-12 parent of Anoka-Hennepin students and have 13 years and counting of volunteer experience in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Scott Simmons, what are your reasons for running for Anoka-Hennepin School Board, and what are your qualifications for the job?
Well, thank you. Thanks for holding the forum. Thanks to the League of Women Voters. First of all, like Nicole, I made a commitment to run for this office when I interviewed for the job in February. Unfortunately, I didn't come out on the winning end, but here I am because I honor my commitments. Therefore, I put my name on the ballot. Secondly, well, I consider this to be the appropriate thing in democracy is to actually have a challenger. So we should never let people run unopposed for elective office. So it's kind of my duty and privilege at the same time to step up and offer what I believe to be my strengths to make a difference. We all support the kids, that's a given, but I think I can bring to bear my experience in government affairs, my knowledge of how government operates to be a benefit to the district and the community and the taxpayers.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We'll move on to question 2, and we'll start with Scott Simmons for question 2. And that is, tell us about your background and community involvement. Please include where your children go to school, if applicable.
Okay, thanks. I'll start with my kids. I have a 7th grader and a 9th grader, and they both attend schools in the district, Jackson and Champlain Park High School. My background is pretty solid in terms of government affairs. I've been a lifelong public servant, and I want to continue that role in service to the school board. My experience is with all facets of government, from state, local, and federal, and I want to bring those experiences and education and strengths I have from that experience to benefit the school board, which is something I haven't done before. This is the one opportunity, I think, in terms of public service that I haven't been able to participate in. I've done city council, I've worked in Congress, I've worked in the legislature. Now I want to bring it back home and represent the citizens of Brooklyn Park, Coon Rapids, part of Fridley, in service to the Anoka-Hennepin School Board.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Nicole Hayes, then, tell us about your background and community involvement, and please include where your children go to school, if applicable.
We have a son that graduated from Champlain Park last year and a daughter who's in 10th grade. I graduated from Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin with a bachelor's degree and worked in the nonprofit voluntary health agency field for 13 years for the American Cancer Society, Children's Cancer Research Fund, and other organizations. When my children started school, I started volunteering. I was right there with them. So the community involvement started early with the schools and then continued with community organizations like the Brooklyn Park Athletic Association, Champlain Park Traveling Basketball, and continuing as recently as the homecoming parade at Champlain Park last week. We have, as I mentioned, we've lived in the area for 18 years. And I should back up to the previous question and feel that the past 7 months have also provided me with experience and involvement and some background to continue doing the job.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we'll move to question 3. And Nicole Hayes will ask you to answer first. And that question is, what 2 issues do you expect the school district to be dealing with in the next few years, and how would you address them?
Well, the first issue will be the budget challenges. It's no secret that across Minnesota, districts did not get all of the funding that they needed from this legislative session. So that will be the first issue that the school board will be looking at and moving forward on. The second is continued student achievement challenges and progress. We're focused right now on 3rd grade literacy and high school math. I also believe that we need to continue focusing on our graduates' postgraduate plans, what we refer to as a 6-year plan, and that every child has a plan after graduation, whether it's 2-year college, 4-year college, military service, technical school, apprenticeships, whatever their interests and their abilities are, but that they have a plan after high school.
Okay, thank you. All right, Scott Simmons, what 2 issues do you expect the school district to be dealing with in the next few years, and how would you address them?
I agree with Nicole. The budget is number 1. And achievement is also number one. I don't think you can separate them. Achievement is paramount, but you got to do the budget. You have fiscal responsibilities and obligations to the district and as taxpayers to take care of the budget, and that's number one priority of the school board. I guess the question was actually how you want to deal with it.
To address them.
The issue is what is on the table, what's not on the table in terms of potential cuts. And I think anything that would affect or alter student achievement or contributions to student achievement would be off the table as far as potential cuts when those are going to be considered this fall. So the budget is obviously, it's game on. That's the most important thing. The fiduciary responsibility of the board is paramount. I'd like to go back to the other two questions. Maybe I can get a chance to do that in the next round of questions. A minute seems so short.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, now we'll move to questions that have come in from the audience. And we will start with Nicole Hayes for the first question. And that is, what is your view on gender identification regarding choice of boys or girls bathroom to use?
I believe that that's really an issue at the state legislature right now. I'm not aware of anything before the school board currently that we are needing to take on some of those identifications. Okay. I would leave that at state legislative issues right now. Okay.
Mr. Simmons, do you have a view on what is your view on the gender identification?
I don't disagree with much with what Nicole said. I think that's it's not a ripe issue at the school board at this point. Yeah. It's been percolating up to the state level, so I'm not sure it's going to be it's even appropriate to talk about at the school district level at this point.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, Mr. Simmons, we'll start with you. What is your view on Common Core being fully implemented in our public schools?
Well, it seems like Common Core has been around a long time, and what you're saying is it's not fully implemented. That's interesting. To me, that suggests that the district isn't fully committed to it, and it has some misgivings about whether it should implement it fully. I don't know. Nicole may be able to answer this because she's had a few months to actually get her fingernails dirty on this. I don't know what the budget implications are of full commitment to it. If there's budget implications, that would be something that I would have to deal with the learning curve on that. But it would distress me to know that it's been around so long and the district has yet to either put it in the garbage burner or actually take it on.
Okay, thank you. And now, Nicole Hayes, what is your view on Common Core being fully implemented in our public schools?
My understanding is that it was intended to create some equity among states so that you could compare scores and have a realistic comparison. It seems to be implemented differently in different states, giving you an apples and oranges result, which I don't know benefits anyone and certainly wouldn't benefit the students. Anoka-Hennepin is committed to providing every child the best opportunity for their academic success. And one thing that I have seen firsthand just over the past 7 months, if not as a parent for the past 13 years in the district, is that commitment and dedication to every single child. It's a constant improvement process throughout the district and within the classrooms as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next question, and we will start with Nicole for this one. What are you willing to do to encourage more parental involvement and engagement?
I will continue to invite. Yeah. I think people appreciate being invited. They like being asked to do something, to make a difference, to know that their school is a welcoming environment and that the children benefit from having them there. My background is in volunteer services. It's something I've been doing for a long time, and I think you need to always extend the invitation, let people know that they're appreciated and that they're important, that their work is of value.
Thank you. All right, Scott Simmons, what are you willing to do to encourage more parental involvement and engagement?
I can speak from my own experience as a longtime volunteer and a member of the PTOs at both the elementary schools where my children attended, both at Riverview and the CBPA schools. I found that the PTOs were really nothing more than a party planning committee. I think we need to better utilize those parents that are willing to step forward and engage them to a higher degree in that PTO environment. To make them worthwhile, so they don't show up and just end up planning parties. So that was my personal experience. So I would use that as an example where there's a vehicle there right now, but it's really being underutilized.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, now we'll move to the next question, and Scott, we'll have you start with this one. It is, please detail your involvement and support of co-curricular activities. Involvement and support of co-curricular activities.
Co-curricular activities. Maybe the writer of the question could define that more.
And who
Co-curricular activities.
Co-curricular activities?
Extracurricular.
Athletics and extracurricular.
Okay. You call it co-curricular, I call it extracurricular.
Okay.
I mean, I support extracurricular activities. My daughter's participated in the community soccer last couple years. How to build that, how to strengthen that, I don't know the answer to that. That's a budget issue. Sometimes we don't only get half-hearted commitment from those who we need. We need community support to make it happen. We suffered a little bit this year in the soccer arena by not having a coach. It was very difficult. I know the football had a similar experience of not having a parent or a teacher or a person step forward to really help it out. So it's suffering a little bit. I think it needs more attention.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, Nicole Hayes, please detail your involvement and support of extracurricular activities.
I'm a huge supporter of the co-curricular activities. It's proven that children that are involved in outside activities do better academically. What that activity is doesn't matter. If it's football or theater or music or chess club, it doesn't matter. One benefit of a very large school district and high schools like Coon Rapids and Champlain Park is the number of interests and activities and clubs that are available to these students is outstanding. My own children participated in 6 different sports over their high school years and community activities as well. But I will tell you, some of the goosebumps that I get are when I attend the activities that involve the music programs, the marching bands, the choirs, and the concerts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, great, thank you. All right, now the next question, and we will start with you, Nicole, this time. In a closed session, how would you handle being the dissenting vote?
I wouldn't have a problem with that. The respect given among the school board members, the administrative staff, the executive staff, and the superintendent is second to none. I have been in a closed session where there was a dissenting vote. That's okay. And that's why there's more than one person making those decisions, so that you do have a diverse group of people with different backgrounds and experiences listening to the same information and making the best decision possible. And it's not unexpected that it won't always be unanimous. And if I am the one person casting the outside vote, I'd feel very comfortable doing that if that was true to myself, and I wouldn't have any problem doing that among the school board members. There's a great deal of respect there.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Scott Simmons, in a closed session, how would you handle being the dissenting vote?
Well, I'd hope that the votes would be in an open session to provide more transparency to the taxpayers. I'm reluctant to have closed sessions on anything unless it's statutorily mandated, contracts and litigation being 2 examples. So I would hope that dissenting votes would come in the open so that the entire community can see who votes in favor and opposed and why. I've served in elective office. I've served on the city council. I've cast negative votes. I've been the lonesome vote on multiple, 1 to 6 votes. So I know how it feels feels like. But that shouldn't stop board members from expressing their opinion, because we're here to serve the taxpayer and the community, but also provide a fiduciary responsibility in serving the board. So there's multiple responsibilities, but you shouldn't hold back your views just because you may happen to be the one dissenting vote. But again, I would hope those votes occur in the open, in the sunshine, versus in a closed session.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next question, and we'll start with you, Mr. Simmons. The relationship between the administration and the teachers is critical to the success of a school district. What would you do to foster trust and respect between the school board, the administration, and the teachers?
Well, I think there has to be an ongoing dialogue and communication, because lack of communication breeds mistrust. So at every point, every step in the way, whether it's contract negotiations, just general bumps in the road as far as academic issues, where the board is headed policy-wise, there has to be ongoing, frequent communications between the board and all the teachers, not just the union, but all the teachers, so the depth and breadth of the personnel that would be affected by any of these changes should know early and often as to what's going on. I think that would help a lot.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, Nicole Hayes. Again, the relationship between the administration and teachers is critical to the success of a school district. What would you do to foster trust and respect between the school board, the administration, and the teachers?
Well, I will also repeat the word communication. I think you can't have respect and trust without communication. Continuing to have the forums, the meet and confers, and as a school board member to attend those meetings, to be aware of what the conversations are, what are the trends, what are the issues, what are you hearing when you're out in the schools. One thing that I tried to do right away after being appointed was hit the ground running. And by the end of the school year, I had made 30 school visits. And that purpose was for not just the staff, but also the parents and the administration in those buildings to know who their school board member is, to know who they can talk to, so that that communication is open and it continues.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we really only have time for one more question. This will be the last question. And Nicole, we'll start with you. Disruptive behaviors have a negative influence on the positive benefits of education to students. Test scores and levels of performance are directly affected by these behaviors. What strategies do you think schools might take to reduce this problem in the classroom?
Teachers are amazingly talented people. And you will see when you're visiting a school and you have the opportunity to be in the back of a classroom, the different techniques that they have. It is incredibly challenging when you have students that, for whatever reason, are not able to participate or focus as you need them to. There are referral systems in place to address those types of issues. Is the child hungry? Has the child not eaten? Are there problems at home? Has something not been diagnosed? Are there things that can be done to assist that child and to make them successful? And also to make the teacher as effective as possible.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Mr. Simmons. Again, disruptive behaviors have a negative influence on the positive effects of education to students. And what strategies do you think schools might take to reduce this problem in the classroom?
Well, I think early intervention is key. If there are problems, to get them addressed as early as possible. Students, young people, once they find that the behavior isn't addressed, it'll continue and perhaps get worse. I think what might help is collaboration and support from some of the social service agencies, if there's a need for that, to make sure the district is working hand in glove with the county and in some cases the state in terms of collaborative efforts to address serious problems. Schools can't do it alone often, but I think the key is to identify problems early, intervene early, and work with the parents and the social workers to make sure that those problems are addressed.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, now we'll go to a 1-minute closing statement from each of you, and for that we will start with you, Mr. Simmons.
Okay, well, I appreciate the value of public education, and I understand the importance of educating all of our children. They're the next generation. As a very involved parent, a school volunteer, and a district taxpayer, I've been a longtime customer of the district's education services. But we know there's challenges in the district, and there's always room for improvement. We should strive to achieve even better results and embrace innovative and new opportunities for change, growth, and success. My goal is to be a new voice, a new leader, to improve all of our students' education, to enhance partnerships and communication with parents, respect the taxpayers, and represent the needs and concerns of the entire community, while also supporting the staff and teachers, making sure they have the resources needed to help students succeed. I'm asking for your support to responsibly improve the opportunities that the district provides for its students and the community. My name is Scott Simmons, and I would appreciate your vote on November 3rd.
Okay, thank you. All right, Nicole Hayes, your closing statement.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding the forum tonight. I appreciate the opportunity. As your school board representative, I promise to continue to be responsive to students and their families, to continue supporting teachers and all school staff, to be accountable to taxpayers, and to celebrate every child's success. As we've mentioned before, it's about communication, respect, and trust. I want everyone in Subdistrict 5, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Coon Rapids, and Fridley, to know who their school board member is, to know that that is someone that they can call, that it's someone that they know is going to be working on behalf of them and their family, and to bring attention to schools that need it the most and to celebrate the success of every child.
All right, great. Thank you so much. This concludes this part of the forum, and we will now move on to the part of the forum with the other districts. So thank you.
Thank you.
Democracy is not a spectator sport. This is a favorite slogan of the League of Women Voters, a group begun 90 years ago to help educate newly enfranchised women who had finally won the right to vote.
No, wait! The League of Women Voters does more than just encourage you to go out and vote. You know that, right?
The League of Women Voters has been a training ground for some great leaders.
The League brings issues you care about to the front stage.
Oh, and the League of Women Voters isn't just for women.
Men, you can join too. Everyone is welcome.
I'm joining the League of Women Voters.
I'm joining the League of Women Voters to represent my generation and other generations to come too.
Do something that matters.
Let your voice be heard.
Don't wait for change, be the change.
Join the League of Women Voters.
Now we will move to the second section of our forum with candidates for District 1 and 2 who are both running unopposed. In District 1, we have Tom Heidemann, the incumbent and an Anoka resident. And in District 2, we have Marcy Anderson, the incumbent and a resident of Blaine. Marcy is unable to be here tonight, so we will be asking the questions of Mr. Heidemann only. Okay. So we will start with the 3 questions that were given to you ahead of time. You will have 1 minute to respond to each question, okay? All right, question number 1. What are your reasons for running for Anoka-Hennepin School Board, and what are your qualifications for the job?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this forum on. We really appreciate that. I have always had a real passion for education. I really strongly believe that our schools are the foundation for strong communities. I've had a commitment to trying to improve the schools that we have and to continue to support them. I've been on the school board now for 15 years, and I've learned a lot. And I've also got a long history of being a parent volunteer within the schools before becoming a board member. So my qualifications as a board member and then being board chair for 6 years, I think positions me well for continuing into the future.
All right, okay, thank you. All right, now, question 2. Tell us about your background and community involvement. Please include where your children go to school, if applicable.
Sure. Well, like always, I'm going to start with my children. My children attended the Anoka-Hennepin schools. My son Andrew graduated from college recently. He's now a teacher at Anoka High School and now signing up for grad school. And my youngest son Adam is an executive chef and has a successful career in the restaurant business. And I'm very, very proud of both of my kids. And they as I said before, went through the Anoka-Hennepin schools. My background, I started as a parent volunteer, PTO president for 5 years at Wilson Elementary, active as a parent legislative team member, working with the legislator for equitable funding for our kids in Anoka-Hennepin, moved on to the school board in the year 2000, been on the school board for 15 years. We've had a lot of challenges over those years, and I think we've done a good job of meeting those challenges. And I know that the school district is in excellent shape, but we can always do better, and I look forward to that.
Thank you. All right, now question 3. What 2 issues do you expect the school district to be dealing with in the next few years, and how would you address them?
So I think that if I'm limited to the top 2, I would say that the first is managing our budget in a very responsible way that keeps our cuts as far away from the classroom as we possibly can. The second is student achievement. There's areas that we really want to focus on, and we have plans for improving our literacy scores, our reading scores in the 3rd grade, focusing on high school math in the 11th grade. We're undertaking some review of our curriculum in both areas and looking at how we can provide some additional tools for teachers who we know are working very, very hard every day. But some of the tools that we currently have don't align with the new state standards. We have to make sure that we support our teachers so that we can get the best in student achievement in the future.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Now we'll move to written questions from the audience, and with a 1-minute response for each question, okay?
Okay.
All right, I think we'll start here. What are you willing to do to encourage more parental involvement and engagement?
I think we need to continue with our volunteer services program. We have one of the most active programs, and every year we celebrate the number of hours, and then the hundreds of thousands of hours of parent volunteerism in Anoka-Hennepin. The last I saw, it was the equivalent of about a $3.5 million donation of time to Anoka-Hennepin schools. So we have a very good VSC effort within our schools. I think we want to continue with that. And it's really about just approaching parents and our community to step forward so that they can share their expertise with us. And we do that through the Parent Volunteer Committee, but we also have a lot of community task force that we form, and we have in the past. Whenever we're going to take on a very difficult issue, we ask the community to come together and help us make those decisions. So it's about outreach, it's about communication, it's about encouragement to get involved.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the next question. What role do athletics, community service, and extracurricular activities play compared to academics? What should be the balance out of 100%? What should be the balance between academics, athletics, extracurricular activities, and community service?
You bet. First of all, I will never refer to those activities as extra. They are definitely, in my opinion, called co-curriculars, because we know the research says clearly that students who are involved in after-school activities, and it doesn't matter what it is, it can be the football game, it can be theater, it can be marching band, it can be chess club. It really doesn't matter. It's the involvement after school that has a direct correlation to student achievement. Kids who are involved after school do better academically. So therefore, we never refer to them as extra. We always refer to them as co-curriculars. So we want to continue to provide those opportunities to our kids. We want to continue to strengthen them. And in the last couple of years, we've actually made some progress in helping to fund additional things that parents were doing as fundraising that were necessary for their activities. We've closed some of those gaps, and I'm very proud that we continue to provide that level of extra support.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. Now, how important is transparency regarding school board actions and decisions? How would you handle a situation with other board members who choose not to be transparent on an issue that you think district residents should know about?
Well, first of all, I think we have transparency. I know we do have closed sessions. Those closed sessions are always related to student expulsions or student discipline because under state statute, they have to be closed. There's also closed sessions relative to negotiations with some of our labor unions. Those are required by law. All of our meetings are open, and I believe they're very transparent. This board, I'm very proud to say, is really a nonpartisan board that doesn't get stuck on their own political agenda. It's always focused on what we need to do for kids. And so when we have those discussions, they happen in this room, and I strongly encourage those open, transparent discussions across the board. And to be honest, I have not run across a board member who has not been transparent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, the next question. How would you reach out to serve children and families in our school district with varying financial and cultural backgrounds?
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to provide an environment that's welcoming to all of our students. And we also have to be able to provide the support needed for some of our families that may have issues and struggles. So continuing to support, having some social workers that are available, working in partnership with the county to have those on site, having those close relationships to support families, I think is critically important. So I think it's all about recognizing that every family is different, every child is different, and that we embrace everyone who comes to the Anoka-Hennepin schools, because we are a public education system and we do welcome everybody.
Okay, thank you. Now, next question, in a closed session, how would you handle being the dissenting vote?
Well, closed session or open session, it doesn't really matter. I would have no problem being the dissenting vote. Generally, though, I'll be honest, as the school board chair, my job is try to get all board members to talk openly about what the issues are so that we can all listen carefully and together process a solution to the problem that board members can support in majority. And so generally, we try to work things out together as a team. But there has been times when there's been dissenting votes, and that will happen, and I strongly encourage those who have those strong principles to stand on them and vote no.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next question. If the district faces funding shortfalls, what approach would you recommend to solving future financial problems?
Good question. So I think there's two things. I think we need to continue to, educate our legislators about what the true needs are in the schools. I think that at least for the last legislative session, there was a tendency to want to add a lot of programs before actually trying to fund the ones that we currently have. And we were pretty strong and bold in our position saying, let's fund what we have before we add new programs. So we want to continue to have a very strong and positive and vocal presence in the legislature because that's ultimately where our funding comes from. But the second thing is we always have to look as an organization how we can do things more efficiently. And so as we go forward with this next budgetary challenge, that's going to be the major focus is how do we keep those cuts as far away from the classroom as we can and focus more on how we can do things more efficiently.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we will go on. We really only have time for one more question tonight. And that is, let's see, the relationship between the administration and teachers is critical to the success of a school district. What would you do to foster trust and respect between the school board, the administration, and the teachers?
It's an excellent question because it's absolutely important that we have a strong relationship as a team. I've often said, one Anoka-Hennepin, we're one team. We're not the teachers, we're not the board, we're not the paras, we're not the custodians. We are one Anoka-Hennepin team. And even through the worst of what I'll call our differences, I've always advocated for the one team approach, and I would never, ever alienate a group or not take the time to listen. So the second critical part of that is having an ear to everybody's opinion, seeking out time for conversation, time to look through all of the issues and work together. And I have to say that we have very talented teachers and administrators in Anoka-Hennepin. That's one of the things that make us great. And together, I think we've done an outstanding job to work together.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll ask you for a 1-minute closing statement, okay?
So it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to represent my community on the school board. I came to this job as a volunteer, as an active parent who was really committed to trying to do the best we can for kids. And over the last 15 years, we've had a lot of challenges, but I think we've weathered those challenges pretty well. We've faced those challenges. We've had to make a lot of difficult decisions. Closing schools were one. But those are sometimes some of the decisions you have to make, and you got to face them head on. So I think for me, it's been just a pleasure, and I look forward to being able to serve the community again for another 15 years, or not another 15 years. I won't commit to that, so that was a slip, but for at least next term. And I want to thank everybody for that opportunity, and I ask for your support.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yes. All right, thank you. Okay, again, I would like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not of the League of Women Voters, and the sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement by the League of any candidate. So on behalf of the League of Women Voters ABC, I want to thank you again all for coming, for the TV audience for watching, and thank you to the candidates for being willing to serve the community in the democratic process by running for office. This concludes the Anoka-Hennepin School Board Candidates Forum. Thank you again for coming, and remember to vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 3rd. Thank you.